All right, welcome back to another episode of Sacred Wild Man. My name is Roy, and today I got to talk about this topic. I saw this reel and it went viral, and I really want to break it down because it's all about the nice guy. And these days, if you've seen on the internet, there's so much feelings and thoughts and opinions about the nice guy. Do we love him? Do we hate him? So let's get into this. So I've titled it, Are Nice Guys a Danger to Women? Because that's the context in which this reel framed it as. So let's take a look at that reel right now.
No, me too. Thanks again for dropping me off and stuff.
Sure. You sure you don't want me to come inside for a drink? I'm an excellent bartender. Good with my hands.
I'm sure.
You watched some New Girl.
Oh.
Very Nick from New Girl coded, I've been told.
Tempting. I'm just kind of tired. Maybe next time?
Tired. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah?
Next time.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye. Oh, and thanks for paying for dinner, by the way. Oh, but you can't come inside. Why not? Why can't you come inside? Oh, because you were nice to me all night. Ridiculous.
All right. So this reel went viral. At the time, it was like 3.9 million views. It's probably gone well above that now. And I want to start first with some critique. So with the things he said, one of the first things was, you sure you don't want me to come inside for a drink? Okay. That question frames it in which alcohol, right? That's ETOH. If you didn't realize, ETOH is alcohol, is used as a social lubricant. And the fact that he relies on, like, you sure you don't want me to come in for a drink? It demonstrates that there's a lack of confidence in his own ability to connect with someone without a substance to inebriate himself or her. In this question, there's also a fear of saying what he actually wants. He's not saying, I would love to come in and have a drink with you. It's, you sure you don't want me to come inside? Like the burden of the decision is put on her. Right? The burden of the choice is on her. And it also reflects a disconnect from his masculine energy. Right? He's not fully owning his sexual energy to penetrate energetically to say, this is what I would like. I would love to come in and have a drink with you. And then leaving it open for her to either say yes or to say no. And then once she goes back in to her house or apartment, then he says, oh, and thanks for paying for dinner, by the way. Right? There's this frustration. And in this, there is the dynamic in which the nice guy gives in order to get back. So there's strings attached. I give the thing that I hope you will then give back to me: affection, love, attention, acceptance. So every action has fine print underneath with an IOU at the bottom. Because I did this, now you should feel obligated to do this for me. And women can sense when there are strings attached to this giving. It's not a pleasant feeling. It's sticky. Or some women will say it's the ick. Right? And there's this belief, conscious or unconscious for many nice guys, which is, if I don't get what I want, it's the other person's fault. Because I did everything right. I got dinner. I drove you back home. I did this. I did that. All leading up to, I'm doing these things so I can get something finally back in return. Right? It's not clean. It's not clean of intention. And now I want to address some of the concerns from women. So I looked into the comments sections. I'm like, all right, I got to see this. Right? The reel is clearly very polarizing. Let's see what people are saying. And here are some of the comments from the women. Like, yikes, this is actually scary how his attitude turns instantly. Red flag. I'm guessing he drank a bunch. I'm a great bartender is giving, I'm about to spike your drink. LOL, good with hands and usage of fingers guns is why you're not invited in, my guy. It's not because you were nice. Oh yeah, he's a real good bartender. Drops roofie and glass. I'm so curious if she confronted him, and I hope this video went viral and his family and friends saw it. Such a dangerous guy. It's scary how quick his face expression changed once she closed the door. I'm glad she got this on camera. I hope he didn't bother her anymore. They literally think you put nice coins in and sex comes out. That was a pretty, I laughed at that one. Now, are these women valid in their experience of what they saw and the thoughts and feelings that came up? Absolutely. That's their experience. They're not supposed to not have the experience that they did have. And what was evident from a lot of those comments was this fear, this sense of, I don't feel safe with this guy, witnessing this guy. Again, completely valid. But there's something that I've seen happen when a lot of women feel afraid on the internet, is that that fear then turns into a form of shaming. And you saw it in some of the comments, in the way they were speaking about this guy. Now, shaming men doesn't cause them to be better or do better. In fact, it causes them to do worse, because their only feedback is, great, everything that I seem to be doing is wrong or bad. I just can't satisfy anybody. So you know what? Screw it. Forget it. Right? Like, I'm just going to do whatever. I don't care anymore. And if you look at the collective, the shaming of men that has happened over the years, it hasn't exactly helped men get better. For a number of men, it's caused them to retract themselves, to emasculate, to castrate themselves. So they're very nice and they're pleasant, but they cannot be direct. They're afraid to be direct, to say what they want, ask for what they want. They're afraid to approach and interact with women. And then you've likely seen the flip side of that, where women are like, why don't men approach us anymore? Why aren't they like, oh, why are they so indirect and wishy-washy? Because of shaming that has been a consequence in which men have adapted. They're like, okay, it seems I don't want to be toxic, so let me try to be nice. And I want you to note the difference between nice guys are such creeps and the sentence, when you do this, this is how it comes across. Just be direct and honest about what you want. You'll get a yes or you'll get a no. But the point is, you're direct and upfront versus beating around the bush. And that I can respect, even if I'm not interested in you romantically. Just for some of the men who are watching this, just note how those two things, how you experience them differently. If you were to hear from a woman, nice guys are such creeps. And let's say you yourself are a nice guy, or have experienced some of these nice guy patterns and struggles. What is the difference you notice hearing nice guys are such creeps, and then what I just read of direct feedback of, hey, this is how it's coming across. You can be direct. You'll either get a yes or a no from me, but I prefer that over you beating around the bush. I can respect that. Note the difference. And then for women to consider, the women who are watching, what do you notice about those two statements? If you were to say them yourself, if you were to say, oh, nice guys are such creeps versus the sentence that I just wrote out, what difference do you notice in saying these two? And this is where one of my pieces of encouragement to women is to respect the nice guy as a human being, and also let him know what you are not willing to accept. Because just because he's nice doesn't mean you accept everything. You respect him as a human being, and you don't rely on shaming in order to change behavior, because it hasn't seemed like shame has worked too well in our society to change behavior in a productive way. It just has people swing to the other extreme, and then the problems we have there. So respect him as a human being. And men hear plenty of messages about how awful they are. That's rampant these days on the internet. They'll hear statements that I think are quite useless, such as "do better." Okay, do better how? What are the specifics besides just this catch-all phrase of just do better, man. You need to do better. And they also don't receive a lot of positive confrontation in a way that calls them forward while still respecting their humanity. Notice the difference then with that sentence I wrote out, right? There's a confrontation. I call it positive because it's not there to shame him, but it's like, hey, here's what you're doing, and here's how it's coming across. And I want you to let you know. I wanted to let you know. And here's what I would prefer instead. It's calling him forward and also respecting his humanity. Like, hey, here's actually something you can do different that would work better for you. And then that is a way in which you actually build up the nice guy as opposed to just tearing them down, which seems to be something a lot of people do for sport these days online. Now, viral clips like these, they create a lot of polarization, and an extreme response will come from one side of the pendulum, only to be met by the equal and opposite extreme of that pendulum. You have seen this in society, just using politics. If you've had one part of the population lean heavily to, let's say, the left, at some point you will have a strong and equal opposite reaction from the right. With all this pendulation, you don't ever get to this integrated middle way where you take the best from both and then you move forward. It's just this dance of going back and forth. And here's how women can make it worse with these sort of viral clips. Women can make it worse, especially immature women, when they get entrenched in this belief that, see, men are unsafe. You can't trust them. All men are fill in the blank. Pigs. All men are toxic. All men are useless. All men are dangerous. Whatever you want to fill in. And what I've seen in the collective when women bunch up together in this way is it illustrates one of the shadows of the feminine, which I see as groupthink and entangled empathy, where there is no individual thought anymore. You know, there's this funny clip from The Office, the American version, where Dwight was made this comment where it was a whole bunch of women having a meeting in the conference room, and he says to the camera, if they're not careful and they're in there too long, they're going to sink their cycles. Now, as humorous as that is, there's something accurate about it, and two, it illustrates how women have this amazing capacity for empathy. It's beautiful. It's a gift, deep gift in which women can feel so deeply for anyone, children, women, men, animals. But there's also a quality of it where when it turns into this hive mind groupthink, that women lose any differentiation. It's almost this compulsive, I need to agree with other women, their thoughts, feelings, and opinions, even if I actually don't agree. There's like this sisterhood vow of, you know what, we need to agree. Group identity cohesion at all costs, even if it erases our own individuality. Another way women make this worse is hyperfixating on the negative. So the more you look for the negative and charge it with emotion, the more you will unconsciously look for it. And it's like seeing red cars everywhere, even though the number of red cars has always been the same. And most of the women who are making it worse, and I don't think it's the majority of women, of the global population of women at all, I think it's actually a small fraction, they happen to be the most immature and loudest and reactive. And these women then trigger the equal and opposite reaction on the other side, right? So we're talking about this pendulum, this opposite extreme, this polarization. These women trigger the men on this other side, the immature men. And here's how these men make it worse. They get entrenched in the belief, see, women use things against you. They will always use things against you. You can't trust women. Stay single, fellas, and screw around, right? Get your notch count up, spin plates, but don't ever commit, right? Because that's dangerous, and women aren't to be trusted. There's a lot of men proclaiming this sort of ideology within the red pill manosphere space, or men going their own way. Same thing applies here. The more you look for the negative, the more you'll find it. And this is where we enter into those red pill manosphere influencers, right? They got their podcasts. They capitalize off of the unprocessed grief, heartbreak of these men, nice guys, or just generally good men. They capitalize off of their unprocessed grief and heartbreak that these men don't know how to deal with. They don't know how to deal with it well, I should say. They alchemize it into podcasts, workshops, courses to then profit off of their cynicism and their heartbreak and their resentment. Like, what better source of revenue than men who are heartbroken, who don't know what to do, or nice guys who don't know what to do? And these men use women and then complain there are no good women to wife up anymore. Like, make that make sense. How does the alpha red pill manosphere podcaster who says spin plates, get your notch count up, because that's what it means to be a high value man, then in the same sentence says there aren't any good women to wife up anymore because they have too high body counts? Like, what kind of deluded logic is that? There is no logic. It's immature boy psychology and reactivity. And this is what we see in the extreme sides of both women and men, the immature ones who happen to be the loudest. And it seems like they are flooding the channels with all their comments, fears and emotions and immaturity. And then it can seem like for the viewers, men and women, like, okay, this is the dominating narrative. This is how men are, or this is how women are, when it's only a small fraction of men and women out there who are like that. Now, I want to use that example to illustrate how this is a confronting mirror for the collective of men and women. These men and women are actually the perfect match for each other because both are committed to fear and misery while blaming the other for their unhappiness. And this is the nature of polarizing content. It reveals what exists in the collective. It reveals those who are still stuck in victim mentality and reactivity, and it reveals those who have done the inner work and are no longer interested in giving their energy to such things. And this is how a large majority of men and women stay stuck in the reactive pendulums, because they're stuck reacting to the external versus sorting through the internal that gets triggered by the external. So what do you do about this? If you've been watching this and you're like, all right, Roy, you're bringing up points that make a lot of sense. Like, I've seen this sort of sentiment online. It's been hard to, not get sucked into it myself, but I want something better. What do I do? Here's some resources. So the first, these 4 books I'm recommending specifically to men. If you've been the nice guy, you're like, I have such a hard time saying, no. I'm a yes man. I have a hard time asking for what I want, asserting myself. I have a really hard time being honest, open, and direct with women, and kind of just beat around the bush. And I can see some of my tendencies mirrored in the guy in that reel. And it's kind of sobering to recognize, what do I do? Here are 4 books that will be helpful, and they were very helpful in my journey. So, The Masculine Relationship by G.S. Youngblood, To Be a Man by Robert Augustus Masters, The Alabaster Girl by Zan Perrion, and No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. That is like the Bible for nice guys. And then resources for women. If you're a woman who's been watching this, and you're like, yeah, I agree with you, Roy. I am not interested in this feeding frenzy that I see online where women corral together in this sort of man fearing, man hating, man bashing sort of powwow. I don't like that. It doesn't feel good to my nervous system. I feel worse after I see this content and like am browsing through all the comments. I want something different for myself and the women who are close to me. I want something different for myself and for them. We want to move towards something better rather than just this blame game. Here are the resources for you. The Queen's Code by Alison Armstrong. Keys to the Kingdom, also by Alison Armstrong. The Alabaster Girl, once again, because Zan, he actually wrote this book. He frames it as it's a book written about women for women by a man. And so many of the women who have read this book have expressed how deeply touched and felt and seen they were just reading this. So it's a beautiful one for both men and women. And then there's The Surrendered Wife by Laura Doyle, which I imagine for some of you, women who are watching, even the title is like, ooh, surrendered. That sounds very close to submissive or whatever other word that is associated, that you have some negative associations. There's some charged energy. Just explore it and see, what you discover. But these are books that I've also had other women recommend, saying like this was very valuable in their journey of moving from hating men or being very bitter, scared, fearful, hateful of men to actually loving men and also feeling more empowered within themselves. And additional resources, work with a good coach or therapist. Sort out those triggers, master your emotions, and then communicate clearly and directly. That will resolve 99% of the issues. When you can sort out your triggers, master your emotions, communicate directly and effectively, that's it. That's it. Those are like the core pillars. And communication piece is huge. So I love this quote, for men and women, take heed of this. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. George Bernard Shaw. And I think this is so relevant. Often on the internet, I hear women say men suck at communicating. To some degree, there's truth to that. Some men just bottle stuff in. They don't say it. They churn on it, especially the nice guys. The nice guys have a hard time expressing what is genuine, especially if they feel frustrated, angry. Just think back to that reel, how nice and like placating he was. And then the moment the door closes, he's like, "Ugh." Hey, that's it. That was not clear, honest communication. But in his mind, he thought, no, it was clear. I did all these things. It should have been clear. She should have known or have read my mind of what I wanted. And then, said yes to what I wanted. It doesn't work that way. So yes, there is truth to that. Some men have a hard time communicating clearly and directly so that women know, oh, that's what you mean. That's what's on your mind. I don't have to guess anymore. And there are also women who struggle with communication, even though they think, I'm a good communicator. The distinction here is that talking a lot does not equal having communicated clearly and effectively. Some women will say a lot to their man. I'm talking, I'm talking, I'm talking, but the main point, the main thing you wanted to deliver to him got lost in the mix of all these things. So talking a lot does not automatically equal you're a good communicator. Have you ever encountered those people who could be talking a lot and afterwards you're like, I don't know what the hell you said? That is what happens for some women. Talking a lot does not equal clear, direct, and effective communication. So this quote is gold for both men and women out there. I want to be clear about what I am not for in this video. I am not for bashing nice guys. There's a lot of men who do bashing of nice guys. It's not just women. There's plenty of bashing of nice guys from women, right? Such as the shaming or nice guys are so ick. I would never sleep with a nice guy. But there's plenty of bashing from men. The alpha Chad Giga maxing red pillar, dudes on the internet. There's this like hyper masculine, oh, you guys just need to stop being pathetic, right? And be a man. And then you'll get women, right? You'll get the money. You'll stop being a loser. That's not helpful. I'm not for either of these things because if bashing and shaming actually worked, then you wouldn't be watching this video. What I am for, because the thing is, in all of the bashing and making fun of nice guys that has kind of become more prevalent over the years, one thing people are failing to see and recognizing is that the nice guy actually has a lot of gifts. He has a gift of empathy. He has a gift of being sensitive and attuned. He has a gift of genuinely a good heart, tender hearted. But he also needs to balance that out with his edge, his spine, his cock energy. He needs to marry both of them within himself, not just be overcorrected into the other extreme. So here's the way forward. I'm here for the men and women who are no longer interested in giving their energy to reactivity. No longer giving your energy into reactivity, sensationalism, or that rage bait farming engagement. And I'm here for the men and women who are committed to the inner work and refuse to blame one another. That's the only way to move forward, because that merry-go-round of misery, blaming men and then men blaming women, is not going to resolve anything. That's just going to be the eternal carousel, merry-go-round of misery, as long as you want to stay on it. And then I'm also calling the nice guys forward into healthy challenge and support. And the whole reason this is important to me is because I was the nice guy. Okay? I was afraid to state what I wanted. I had repressed my sexual energy as a man because I thought it was evil or bad. And I love bombed women. I gave attention in the hopes that I would get it back. There's that giving in order to get back. I had a girlfriend in high school, and then after that, I was single for over 13 years. So I have lived the experience of the nice guy. That guy in that reel, I know what that experience is like. It's not a pleasant one, the sense that, well, I think I'm doing everything right because I'm not being the toxic guy that women have said they don't want. So what the heck? Why isn't any of this working? Why do I feel miserable? I was that guy. And then fast forward to now. Now I'm married. I'm experiencing sexual intimacy that I had only fantasized about previously. My wife and I, we smoothly handle conflict, and I can dance with her emotional storms. There's not this sense of she shouldn't have emotions. It's like, no, of course she's going to have emotions, but I know how to handle them. I know how to be firm. I know how to be assertive, draw boundaries if necessary, but I also know how to play in the tension with her. And I get to coach and guide other men in their relationships with women. I've worked with the other nice guys out there who have had that same struggle. And I've been able to do this without sacrificing my values. And I think this is a key one, because for the tender-hearted good men out there who have perhaps been called the nice guy or recognize, yeah, I have some of these nice guy tendencies, there's this thought, and tell me if you're familiar with this, if you're a man watching, where you thought, well, if I'm no longer the nice guy and I actually say what I want, ask for what I want, I become more assertive, how do I know that, like, I won't just become another asshole like some of these other guys that I've seen? I don't want to be like that. Very understandable concern. And there's a way for you to do this without sacrificing your values, without overcorrecting into some red pill Chad guy. One of the ways you do this is first to reclaim your desire and to express it. So here's a screenshot of a Telegram chat with a client I had worked with previously, where I was helping him with like a lot of the dating troubles he was experiencing, because he was saying like things were very dry on the dating apps. He was attempting, he was reaching out, but nothing was landing. So we did a little bit of some shifts, and here's something he said. That's an interesting question. Before, I tended to avoid telling them, women, things like "you have a lovely smile," and like mainly because I was concerned about possibly coming on too strong, or things possibly moving too fast. Hence the neutrality of my usual greeting. As a result, I did feel some discomfort in these new sensations that I'm now starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with. So he had developed more awareness of how he was operating and behaving. There was this, he doesn't say it directly here, but the sense that I got was there was almost this um, apologetic quality. Like, sure, there might be some fear of things moving too fast, but also an apologetic quality of like, oh, I don't want to offend her. I don't want to offend a woman, because I heard, like, maybe to give a compliment nowadays is also an issue. It would mean I'm coming across as a creep. And then as we continue with our work, you here's some more screenshots. I asked him, how have you felt in the DMs now when it comes to expressing both your interest in who she is and your desire as a man? And he said, like a real man interested in tapping into her energy, as opposed to the bus driver just trying to strike up a conversation. Because in some of the screenshots I asked him to send me, it was just these very polite greetings, but no expression of like, I'm a man and I'm a woman, and I see you as a woman and as an attractive woman that I would like to get to know more. There wasn't any of that. It was just these pleasantries. So that was the shift for him, like feeling more like a real man, tapping into her energy, my desire. And then here he shares, looks like I'll have another first date in the works with another lass, and just celebrating that he's gotten more dates. Since we started working, he's gotten more dates because he's been more direct and joking around like, yeah, I'm not quite at the level of Don Juan yet. In this journey, there's also the opportunity to dissolve your limiting beliefs. So for the nice guys watching, if you think like, no, it just feels like I will always be limited to this belief that I have. I want you to know that you can absolutely dissolve them. It's not a life sentence. So here's a different man that I was working with. Um, this was after our first call, so I was quite surprised by this. He said, "Yeah, I went back there last night. This time took a date. Chemistry was electric. The usual first date jitters and insecurities were practically gone. This is really crazy. This is what is possible when you do the inner work, when you stop blaming women as the source of your problems and recognize, well, I'm clearly the common denominator." That was something that my therapist told me when I was meeting with him. I was expressing my frustrations, and he's like, well, Roy, you're the common denominator in all these attempts with women. So it's either all women's fault, or there's something about you and the way you're showing up and behaving that's getting you the results that you're getting. And that was very sobering and humbling to hear, but it was true. And so when you shift that, you get to experience what my client here experienced. And when you do this inner work, right, to master your emotions and communication, you can handle tension better with women. Here's another client of mine. He is a married man. So with the other two, they're single, just dating. Here's a married man. And he said, today I was able to act with the knowledge and experience of 12 weeks of coaching with you, Roy. Did some breath work, which helped me get to a place of clarity. It's something you emphasize is very important for us men. And from there, the discussion with my wife was easier. And it probably also helped her because I was clear. I'm very happy and proud about this. So again, when you commit to this work, you get to experience more of the fullness of your expression as a man. You do not have to live limited as the nice guy and only stay stuck in misery. There is more for you to experience. That's what I got to experience in my journey. That's what these men got to experience in their journey. And it's what's possible for you as well. So if you're a man who's been watching and you have been stuck in the patterns of the nice guy and you're tired of it, you want a beautiful relationship with a woman without sacrificing your values, not overcorrecting into a lot of the pickup artist or red pill BS. You're ready to reclaim your masculine potency, and you're willing to invest the time, money, and energy into this journey. My invitation to you is to book a call with me. You can do so with the link in the description, or you can scan this QR code and you can just chat on a 30-minute video call together. I'll get a better understanding of what's been going on for you, what you would like to change and achieve in your life. And if it feels like we'd be a good fit, then I'll share with you how we can get that done for you in 3 to 6 months. This is something that I am deeply passionate about because, let me just move back to full screen here. This is something I'm deeply passionate about because, like I said, one, I was that guy. I was living that reality where I was miserable and thinking, you know, I will forever be fated to this miserable existence as the nice guy, or, hating women. That was like the ping pong trap I was stuck in. It's either between one of these two. That's the extent of the life I get to live. And having tasted what is possible, getting to the other side, being in a wonderful marriage with an amazing woman, I see what is possible. And something that I want to reiterate that I don't see anybody else talking about is how much the nice guy has to offer. Because think about where humanity has been prior to this, the expression of men prior to this, right? It's the criticism most women have offered about, the patriarchy, right? If we were to just scrub that term and just talk about the actions, women, the pillaging of villages, there was a lot of detrimental stuff that men have done throughout history. That was the expression of men for quite some time. And understandably, men who are connected to their hearts saw that and they're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to keep going on this trajectory. I want to change. And these tender-hearted men also empathize with women, listen to women. And there was a heart change. It's like, okay, I want to do something different. And that's a beautiful quality, to see destruction or see harm and say, I want to do this differently. And to hear the stories of women and like, no, I want to listen. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful quality that a lot of men who have these nice guy tendencies, they embody that. Tremendously loving, empathetic, giving. And that, when married and connected with their edge, spine, their cock, okay, integrating all of that together, because you cannot repress that energy and expect good things to happen. Your sexual energy, your primal energy as a man, is your birthright. It's like fire, okay? You have this fire within you. And if you try to repress it, it'll come out diagonally. It'll come out in unconscious ways, which is what happens for a lot of the nice guys. Resentment, misery, then judgment, jealousy. Okay? It's not a pleasant experience. But when you marry the two, heart, spine, cock, right? That's the three. When you marry all of those as a man, then you become what I see as the integrated man, the heart warriors, the heart-centered warriors, these men who are deeply loving, but also very firm, grounded. They're capable of violence, they're capable of being dangerous, but it's precisely because they know they can be violent and dangerous, but they also have that under control. They've mastered that energy within themselves, that they can be kind, they can be loving and gentle. These are the men that I see being the ones who will change the world, the spiritual, heart-centered warriors that the world is looking for. So if that is something you're interested in as a man, and you've been this nice guy who's thought, how do I get out of this? There's got to be something else. Then my invitation to you is, if you've resonated with what I've shared here today and you're ready to do the work, reach out, book a call, and let's get you moving forward towards this future vision, this future self that is already the seed that exists within you. You just need to water it. And if you're a woman who's been watching and you're like, hey, I've enjoyed what you had to say. Like, do you work with women? Would you be willing to work with me? Yes, I have also worked with a few women as well. So if that's something you're interested in, you'd like to chat to see what we can do together in one-on-one work, in one-on-one coaching, again, book a call with the link or take a photo of the QR code. Happy to chat with you as well. So thank you all for watching. I'd love to hear any comments, thoughts you have to share. What did you think of that reel? What were your reactions when you first watched it? And now at the end of this video, what are like the thoughts, feelings going on for you? Be very interested to hear that. So that's all. Take care. Have a beautiful rest of your day.